Dearest gentle voter. Okay, if you guys watch Netflix, that was kind of a thing about Bridgerton. Anyways, let's get serious. We've got 25 days left before the election, and there's a decision that voters are going to need to make. I am a Democrat running on the Democratic ticket with two other opponents. And it's really unfortunate, but Guam hasn't had any debates to allow you to contrast our views on all of the key issues that are going to be happening in Washington, D.C. So because of that, I'm going to do a contrast myself. Now, the Democratic Party is trying to make sure that we all stick together and heal the party after this primary, because we're going to be going up against a Republican incumbent in the general election. But at the same time, as a voter, you need to understand the difference between the three people that are running on the Democratic side of the ticket. So here is my take on the differences in approach that we all have. First, I have an opponent who is a member of the Guam legislature. She is the majority leader currently of the legislature and one of the youngest members. Now, when you go to Washington, D.C., being young is not necessarily a good thing. It really requires experience because it's a very tough area. And we've got to have somebody who can fight for Guam, who knows the issues, who can go toe to toe with people who are senior and experienced. And as far as being majority leader, I mean, we're talking about a legislature that doesn't even have a functioning majority. It's so factionalized at the moment. And that factionalization has really resulted in stalling of critical pieces of legislation that are needed to move things forward, like Simon Sanchez High School, or like our hospital, or so many other things that are critical for the people of Guam. And everybody that I've been talked to really is tired of it, and they want to see it move forward. So when you're looking at somebody who's able to build coalitions and get things done, I don't know that you look at this particular legislature and this majority leader, because it's just not happening. In addition, she's also the chairperson for the Transportation Committee. And what do they oversee? They oversee the port, they oversee the airport, and what are we looking at there? I mean, the port right now can't get a gantry crane in despite everything that they've tried to do. They need support. They've got to be fighting against the Buy America Act because that's what's holding it back, and that's a federal issue. But that doesn't mean that the chairperson of that committee in the legislature couldn't be doing something to support that position, to get the legislature behind it, to fix it. Nothing's happening. As far as airfare goes, she's presided over the Air Transportation Committee at a time when airfares have soared, and she's done absolutely nothing. She has been stone cold silent on the fact that all of our people are struggling with airfare. You know, I was at a fundraiser for some kids who were trying to come up with money to send their little 11 and 12-year-olds to play in the Little League Championship in Hawaii. Do you know how hard that is for a family? We're talking like $3,000 for each child. They were trying to do fundraisers, and it just broke my heart, because you know what? We need to have a serious strategy to bring down airfares, and our legislature and our congressmen need to be a part of that, and not by introducing bills or something useless. It needs to be a strategy, and we've got to pursue it. But my opponent hasn't said a word about it. Switching to my other opponent, it is somebody who is a former congressman, so we can actually look at record. And so what does he say he's done? He said that he got the war reparations from Guam, for Guam. There's two things that are wrong with that. The first thing is that war reparations means that the federal government put out those reparations for the people of Guam, and that's not true. You know what happened? The government of Guam paid for that, which essentially means it's like me giving an allowance to my daughter and then telling her on her birthday, hey, just take your birthday gift out of your allowance. I mean, the government of Guam paid the war reparations, not the federal government. So that in itself is an issue. And then on top of that, to claim credit for the whole thing when in fact, Madeline Bradaglia was primarily responsible for getting that over the hill. And in addition to that, every single congressman and woman before was also involved in pushing that. So it is really unfair to try and take full credit for that. Speaking of taking full credit, he also tries to take full credit for the money that came to Guam during the COVID recovery. Presidents Trump and Biden both were the ones who set aside that money and gave it to every single jurisdiction, every territory, every state. But in addition, if you look a little bit more closely, Guam got 1/3 per capita what the CNMI did. And you know why? Because Congressman Khalili was an extremely affected leader. He's done so much for Guam. He's done so much for the region. Our leader didn't even get that, didn't show up for a lot of the sessions, and there were just a lot of issues. So if you want to go to the polls and you want to make the right decision for our future, and you believe that things could be better in Washington, D.C., then it's important to contrast what the plans are, what we say we're going to do, and what kind of experience and capability we have to actually go and do it. I'm going to be coming up with something written in the next couple of days, and we're going to put it up on our website, gingercruz.com. So I really hope you take a look and just get serious about this, because when you go to vote, you actually have the power to change the way things are. If you're happy with the way things are now, and you think we're just getting great representation in Washington, D.C., and you just think that Guam doesn't have any problems, then you're probably not going to vote for me, because this is a time we need to get serious. We need change. We can't have the same old tired politics with dirty mudslinging and all of these appeals to how much people's families are going to support them. I mean, that's great. That's fine. I'm not saying anything negative about families. Absolutely. It's the families that I'm fighting for. It's families that need somebody who fights for them in Washington with the capability and the passion and the skill so that I can bring every single family on Guam results. That's why I am fighting. I am fighting for my island, an island that I love. So I hope that you go to the polls fully informed and make a decision that is the best decision for your family and for the future of this island. Because this is not the island that I want to have for my grandchildren. I want more. I want economic development that's going to have good paying jobs. I want to address the issue of crime. It is abhorrent that we have drugs pouring into this island. That's a federal issue, and we can do a lot more about it. So if you want to read more about my plan, it's at gingercruz.com. Please go and vote. Early voting starts next Monday, the 15th of July. You can go to the Westin Hotel down in Tumon and you can vote early, or you can wait until August 3rd, and there'll be a lot of information out from the Election Commission. We'll have it also on our website, and you can find out where your polling place is and cast your ballot. I thank you for your time. You're going to hear more coming in the coming days, and I really thank you for your time.